All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. So Dennis DeYoung again goes to another radio station, KSHE out in St. Louis, very famous radio station that I believe plays mostly classic rock. Although when Pearl Jam comes on, I tend to just hit the little button, that thing they don't want you to do. Yeah, because Pearl Jam is not classic rock. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's classic rock. But I digress, okay? For you Pearl Jam fans, uh, I guess it's just a phase that the industry went through. And then after that phase, we had no more phases, right? I'm going to be talking about the top 10 melodic rock albums of 2021. And they're really good. They're really good records that you could play on radio stations like these, or I don't know, formats that have rock music that doesn't sound like crap. But anyway, I digress. So Dennis is talking again about reuniting with Styx. And I'm actually starting to get a little annoyed by it because these guys have already booked a tour. They've booked a tour with REO Speedwagon and Loverboy. And he mentions that. He says, but the truth is for them to go out on tour with REO, and he says REO is terrific, and Loverboy, that's lovely, except we should be going out by ourselves and giving the fan base what they richly deserve, which is to see Mo, Larry, and Curly. Now, why do I have a little sour grapes in my delivery here? Because I've tried to reach out to Dennis. I've tried to reach out to his manager, Tim. I have had other people try to reach out for an interview right now. I guess it's because I've been defending people like Eric Clapton and Travis Tritt, and the direction of the channel has kind of swerved over into the political realm to some degree because it's all about politics, unfortunately. It's not about public health, right? And I'm thinking Dennis privately probably agrees with a lot of things that I say based on what I know. But at this time, it appears that he didn't want to take the opportunity to come on with me. Maybe I don't have enough subscribers. Don't know what it is. There are a lot of things. I did speak to him on the phone like 32 years ago or something like that. So I guess that's all I'm going to get. And that's cool. That's fine. There are bigger things hopefully happening in 2022 for this channel. I'll just leave it there. Anyway, Dennis goes on and says, the thing is for me, if we went and did it, I don't want to be back in the band, he explained. I'm not there to annoy people. I just want it one last time, really, for the legacy of the band and for the fan base, because we still are pretty good, all three of us, meaning Dennis and JY and Tommy and Chuck occasionally on bass when he has the strength to do it. Chuck Panozzo, who is still around, doesn't get a lot of ink these days, but he occasionally will do a concert with Styx or come out and do some songs. He says it would be a joyous thing for people because I know I would feel great if I got to see the Beatles one more time when everyone was alive. So yeah, it's a good thing, right? Here's another issue I have, right? So Dennis DeYoung put out two really strong albums back to back. And one of those albums is going to be in my year-end top 10 best melodic rock albums of 2021. I'm talking about 26 East Volume 2, which to me sounded like a classic Styx record because it had rockers and ballads, and it was well written, well put together. But honestly, we're not gonna hear that on the radio, right? And he's at this radio station, and if he really wants to kind of challenge the power structure a little bit here, I know he's not going to record anything else, so he's like, hey, I'm just putting this out because, Jim Peterick says I'm great and I should keep recording. And he did. And it turns out that he had a lot to say on those last two records, but yet the radio business has collapsed and tanked so much with their over and over again. Folks, as each year goes by, classic rock playlists become less and less classic rock because they start to integrate stuff that's really not classic rock that came later. Because in some cases, they're playing songs that are 40, 45, even 50 years old in some cases, right? And we've never had this problem with that format. If you follow, right, in 1975, we weren't playing music from the 1940s on the radio. That would have been 30 years prior. We weren't playing, FM radio was starting to crank up, and they were playing all the great album rock of the time, probably from the late 60s through to the time that they were in. But we're in a new place now where nothing came along to really replace the music that we all grew up with. I mean, technically, yes, there was stuff out there that didn't see the light of day. And if you had, shall I say, a bold program director to say, look, we're going to try this radio station where we're playing the new stuff, the old stuff, we're going to integrate it together, and we're going to call it, I don't know, classic rock and updated rock. We'll find a new catchphrase for the category and then move on. I think if you're at Keishi, say, hey guys, I did this album this year and it was really good. How come you guys didn't put it on the radio? And just let them squirm for a minute. They're going to tell you, yeah, we played it once. We played one of the songs once. Last time you were here. No, they'll come out of the break, right? And the song that they're coming out of the break with will probably be like Come Sail Away or The Best of Times or whatever. It won't be anything from that new album because, you know what, even though they're interviewing a rock legend, Dennis DeYoung, they're not going to promote. And Steve Perry did the same thing. Now, granted, some radio stations were playing the Steve Perry song that was out at the time when he was going to the station, or they'd be praising it. Oh, that song is so good. And then they'd go into like Love and Touch and Squeezing. It's just like, okay, thanks. You don't even want people to hear it once. And it seems as though this is prevalent throughout the media. The media doesn't want you to hear things or see things or read things anymore that might be enlightening, that might kind of give you some new perspective or just give you a break from the monotony of the same old, same old. Now, I know there are people on this channel that would prefer hearing their comfort food rock, and I understand that. Now, getting back to Dennis, okay, and the Styx debacle here. Here's my take. It's over. Meaning that these guys, I mean, they just did an interview. JY just said stuff like, oh, Dennis likes show tunes. I like Jimi Hendrix. Oh, Dennis likes show tunes. Maybe he does like show tunes, but I think he likes some other stuff too. He's always talking about the Beatles, right? I think you guys could find some common ground on the Beatles, right? But, you know, you're not going to find common ground. Dennis, I mean, this pipe dream that you have, they've already booked the tour, buddy. I love you, man, but it's over. And you should go on Keishi and bitch about the fact that they won't play anything, even if they played something off of Crash of the Crown, which I don't think is as good as 26 East Volume 2. But if you like a little bit more progressive and you like Queen, and by the way, a lot of Beatles influences on that record, and there's a lot of things that are mashed up in there, progressive elements. And again, you can only be prog. You can't be pop. You've got to stick to the prog. Can't have proggy pop or poppy prog. But that's the direction that those guys went. And they do it on purpose. They want to distance themselves from the whole Roboto, Babe, best of times, don't let it end. They don't want that. And they think their fans don't want that, which is a huge mistake, actually, because their fans want both. So to Dennis's point, yes, it would be good to get the Three Stooges back together again, but they've already booked it, Dennis. They're not going to be calling you. And at 75, right? Dennis is going to be 75. I don't know. How much more do you want to do? I mean, obviously the voice is still pretty good. The songwriting is still really good. But you're begging and pleading. You know, you're trying to get blood from a stone with these guys. They hijacked the brand in 1998 or 9 or whenever that happened, and they never looked back. And yes, the people who don't like Dennis will say, well, he never liked to tour. It's not his thing. He didn't want to tour. Okay, well, he's been touring fairly consistent, but not as much as some of these warhorse bands who know that this is the only way they're going to make money. And then, of course, do you really want to jump through all of the hoops, Dennis, with your QR code and all the restrictions and all the things that the good little emperor doctor is going to have you do pretty much forever, right? To go enjoy a concert, because that's a special privilege. Well, we'll let you do it, but you know what? You've really got to follow these guidelines. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to go. To me, that's one of the biggest outrages ever, and people should be up in arms about that. I mean, here's the deal. Do you want to go to a concert, or do you want to keep your job? I mean, these are things that are more important right now to most people, is that, wow, they want me to do this to keep my job. And then there's a Styx concert happening. Oh, well, who cares, right? And that's where we're going to be. And that's why there are empty seats at the Hotel California Eagles tour, in addition to the fact that tickets are ridiculous and inflation is out of control, and I'm sure is factored into these ticket prices, which again leaves the working class out of the equation, people that don't have tons of disposable income. So yeah, you know, you see this branding, this triple bill, Styx, REO, Loverboy, and you're like, yeah, sign me up. I really don't care who's in this band anymore, or the other bands for that matter. So long as they can pull off some entertainment for me for a few hours, that's all I really care about. And there you go. That's what the casual fan looks like in the year 2021 and beyond. So anyway, that's my video on the topic. I know Dennis is frustrated. I'm frustrated with Dennis a little bit. I'm frustrated with the situation. I think he would have benefited from coming on a channel where I think I have some of the most pro-Dennis people who are always on this channel. And sometimes they're more pro-Dennis than I am. They'll send me things and I'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to touch that one, just because it's sour grapes at this point, and it's starting to sound like sour grapes. I mean, if they hadn't booked a tour, I would have taken this approach, but they booked the tour and it's kind of done, you know. And best thing Dennis can do is go out on tour himself and wrap up his own career and give it his all. I mean, he's got a great band. He's got great new material out there, and he can perform a lot of great music. And he's got August Zadra in the band who can be Tommy Shaw. I mean, sometimes people say he's a better Tommy Shaw than Tommy. And then he's got a guy who looks like JY, who's got shaggy hair, who runs around the stage. And so, yeah, for the casual fan, that's a treat. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, and Patreon, folks. Lost a few patrons, understand. It's a real difficult time of year, and people need their money, and disposable income, like I mentioned during this video, is a little hard to come by right now. But for $1 a month, $2 a month, if you can help me out, I really appreciate that. All right, we'll see you again soon.